Hi, welcome to another episode. I want to say another episode of me sharing my traumas. I feel the pain. Try to heal from it, share insights, and above all, learn from it. I love my family, but not everybody in my family. I think some people in your family, if they had the opportunity, they would not want to be a part of your life. They would not wish that you were there, like from the very beginning. And I'm talking people who didn't want a, a joining to have happened, but it happened anyway. You became the product of the joining. And remember, they weren't happy. They didn't want the joining to happen. And being the product of that joining, they don't like you. I don't know if that makes sense. I say it to this very day. I would not have allowed my parents, so sad. I would not have allowed my parents get married. If I could make that decision, I'll probably tell them not to get married. Why? Because they were so unhappy with each other for a very long time. And because they were unhappy being together, the union wouldn't have lasted. Trust me, it wouldn't have lasted years. But they did marry each other for 10 years because my dad passed when I was 9. Imagine he was still alive. The marriage just ended, or the marriage lasted for 9 years, and that was it. But like in those 9 years, I don't think, I think to a good amount they liked each other, but did they love each other? Mm-mm. They just liked each other, and that was where the whole union happened. But do I think my mom's family and my dad's families like each other? Definitely not. I don't think they liked each other. However, I think my mom was very strong headed. She wanted to be with my dad so bad that she didn't care. And I think that is what is happening today. The wrong choices they made, wrong decisions, that is giving me this level of trauma. I love my families to an extent, not everybody, especially my paternal family. Because my grandfather married twice. So now my grandfather's second wife has other kids. Those ones I don't have issues with them. My dad's mom, that's my grandmother, got married to another man who she divorced afterwards, got married to another man, and that man gave birth with her, they gave birth to three daughters. My dad loved those women. The three girls, including their mother, they were a nightmare. And I am saying this today because I'm grown, but I saw so much that were just ignored because I have been in the midst of these people. I have experienced them. I know what it feels like to get their wrath. My dad, I don't think he was a very good man. I mean, to me, he was a good father, but I don't think he was a good husband to my mom. He was this man that whenever he had issues with his wife, instead of him to sit down, have conversations with his wife to communicate, basically, he would rather go communicate with his mother and his siblings. Those were the girls, the three girls and their mother. They were a nightmare. And because of this, and when where you hear one side of a story, you automatically just pick a side, and because he's your brother, you definitely pick a side. And my dad was this person that always tells stories to favor him and not just say the truth wholeheartedly. I knew who he was. And then his sisters hated my mother. My mother didn't know what to do because she didn't know what he has gone to tell them. And he was very quick to travel, to go and tell his people. Anyways, growing up, they never liked my mom because of all the things my dad said to them. And in your family, you as a man and you as a woman, you decide how much your people love your spouse. It's in your hands. Your people can either hate your spouse or like him or her by what you say. So let's just be careful out there. My father's people were so terrible, and they didn't know how terrible they were. They thought they were good. They thought whatever they did the right things. And I don't want to use the word hate, but I don't like them. I have tried the past few years to forgive, to not hold so much grudge against them. So after my dad died, my mom needed help. She couldn't do anything. And for someone like her, my dad left nothing for her. My dad went, nothing, no inheritance, nothing. And my mom needed help, right? Needed help. She has 3 kids. She needed help. And for some reason, my grandmother thought that she was in a better position to take care of us. First of all, you are not our mother. You don't know best. And how can you watch a woman give birth to her own child? She doesn't have a husband at the moment, which she feels devastated about, that her husband died. And the only thing that reminds her of her husband, that reminds her of what she has lost, you want to still take it away from her. That was what my grandmother wanted. She wanted to take us away from her. And you can't do that to a mother. And I'm saying this right now because these aunties of mine, then they did this when they weren't married, but now they're married, they have kids. I want to know how, I wish I can talk directly to them. I want to know how it feels. Would you, whatever you guys did to my mom, would you ever watch them do it to your own child? I'm just asking, okay? When all of this happened, my mom needed help. And she was this person that had so much pride. She doesn't like looking weak. She doesn't like asking for help. She feels she can always do it herself. And I wish she didn't put this much burden on her. But when she finally started asking for help, they said they cannot help her because they don't want her to get help from her, but they want to help the kids directly. And how would you help a kid? You think you know what's best for that child better than their mom. The mother, you think you know what's best for a child better than who gave birth to them. She kept fighting with them, asking for help. Their demands were, bring the kids, we're going to take care of them. My grandmother was so hell bent that my auntie should never send my mom. And these aunties, by the way, they were well off. They were just well off. And I'm just so angry. They were well off. They were doing okay for themselves. And they said they wanted to have the kids. So my mom just wanted to stop fighting with them. My mom took me and gave my 2 siblings, that's my sister and my brother, to my grandma. And my brother and my sister went to live with her, I think, for 3 years. Yes, 3 or 5, 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a year. And leaving, my sister changed school so much. I wish my sister is here. I wish she's here to share her own side of the story, because if my sister tells you what she went through in the hands of somebody she called her grandmother, I'm telling you, you would be baffled. You would be baffled. And whatever my siblings went through, my sister especially my brother, my siblings, let me put it that way. But my sister was older than my brother at the time. My siblings went through in the hands of that woman. I don't think they have recovered today. Especially my sister, it scarred her so much. I didn't live with her. With my mother, it was a different horrible too. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I felt my mom had so much anger in her, so much hatred. I thought my mom hated me for a good minute. Like after my dad died, like from the very beginning, I always thought my mom hated me. I just felt like I was the main reason for their union. If I didn't happen, it probably would not have happened in real life. Like their union would probably not have. So I felt like my mom hated the idea of me. I'm so sorry. So when all of this happened, my sister I don't know, they took my sister and my brother. They went to one of the terrible schools in the village. And I'm telling you, local, these students sometimes don't have bags. They weren't learning the right things. My sister was not that smart in school anyways, and you took her to where was worse. And because of where she was coming from, she had to do better. Because imagine in a place where you were not doing well academically and they took you to where even the academic system was terrible, and then it turns out that you are better than all of them there, and the girl had to pick up the slack. So now my sister has been this way. So when she knew that, oh, I'm in a place where I feel smarter than everybody, even though I'm coming from a place where I feel like everybody was smarter than me, my sister had to pick up and she became better. However, so because the schools were terrible, she wasn't learning anything great. Okay, let's just be honest. And I remember when she would tell you that she would trek from a particular place to like almost 2 hours walking down to school if there was no car taking her to school, if there was no bike taking her to school. And to an extent, I would also not blame my aunties, because this is where I'm going to tell you that they tried. And I felt like the burden became so much on them. So when all of this happened, my mom left my siblings for 2 years, I think 2 years or a year, and she went back to the village too, because in Nigerian culture, when your husband dies, you will go back and take off the clothes. So she took off the clothes. I think years later, she had to come back, and my siblings was already living there. And there was a village we stayed. The village was just two villages to ours. And my siblings didn't know my mom was in town. My mom was in the village already. I was with my mom. And I was going out, I accompanied one of the cleaners or the family of the person we were staying with. I accompanied her to go get something. On my way accompanying her, opposite, I saw a barbing salon. And that barbing salon, I saw my siblings there. My siblings were barbing their hair. They looked so unkept. They looked so unkept. And I rushed inside to call my mom. I rushed inside to call my mom. I'm like, Mommy, come, come, come. Chibo and Amaka is here. And my mom rushed. My mom said, where? How? Her children cannot be here. Her children must be in Lagos. Guess what? My mom saw her children. She's crying. She started crying because they looked malnourished. They looked unkept. I looked so good. I looked well. My siblings were looking at me. I looked so fine. But they, on the other hand, terrible. They looked terrible. And this was a woman who was begging.